Howdy YouTubes, we've got another car to wrap today. We've got John's big F250. So this is a black PPF, gloss black PPF we're doing. So the existing paint's a bit how you going, so I'll flip you around and show you what's going on with that. As per most cars, sun damage, we've got all the clear coats delaminating. Alright, so this has got a bit of an edge on it. We'll have to sand this back a bit just to smooth it out. It had flares on it, so there's a silicon there. We're going to have to peel all this silicon off, which is going to be a task. Obviously pull the badges off. They're looking a bit tatty, so I might not refit them. I might just leave them off and see whether John wants them refitted or not. Obviously, yeah, stripping off we're going to take the mud flaps off this one. But as you can see, it needs a good wash. I wasn't overly worried about washing it before we ran it in because there's a bit of sanding to do, and obviously that needs to be clean once we finish. So there's spots like this on the bonnet and on the roof where looks like it's probably had bat poo or something on it, and it's peeled up. You can see where it's been parked. There's quite a lot of droppings and stuff on it, but we've also got all these chips. So these chips are very deep. The car's probably been painted, or at least the front end's been painted before. So I'm going to see if I can feather these out, but it might stand out a bit, so they might end up having a little bit of body filler on these. Alrighty, so just laid a bit of off-cut on the bonnet here, or the hood. So you can see there was some very big stain chips that I've sort of feathered out a little bit, so there's no harsh edges on it, but you can still see quite a large drop. But so I've had to sand quite a lot of the car back because it's covered in like a paint splatter or something. And I couldn't get it off with the clay bar. So yeah, large sections of it have had to be just lightly sanded. So this finish here is straight off a DA. It's actually a pneumatic buzzer, but you can see here the finish is mirror finish. It's because this is fairly flat, so all these little imperfections here, you won't see any of that once the wrap's on. Okay, and this is a self-healing PPF, so I've just tried to scuff it up a bit there. You can see those few scratch marks there. With a bit of heat, they disappear. So very good stuff. You know, being gloss black, it's gonna mark very easily. They all do, but at least with this self-healing or repairable PPFs, then yeah, you can add a bit of heat, and you can see those few scratches there, and then where I put that bit of heat, there's no scratches there. Alrighty, I'll quickly show you how I cut the front guards. So these are massive guards. It's 1.2 meters or 4 foot from the top of the corner of the guard here all the way down where it wraps underneath. Okay, so the roll's 1.5 meters, so we've got effectively 300 millimeters or 1 foot left over at the bottom there, which we cut off. That's what I've been using up there. And then this section here, now this part here from where the top of the guard needs to be to the bottom of the guard, I need 450 millimeters or 1.5 foot. Okay, that's plenty more than that. But what I've done is I've effectively cut this piece as it sits, and I've cut the other piece like this in that leftover for the other side. Okay, so you can see I've got plenty here. The bottom of the guard's there, top of the guard's here. So there's plenty of meat there. We've got plenty of length, and obviously it covers all the way down, so I need to trim this out around the wheel arch and everything still. So from the back of the guard, and it sort of curves down at a bit of an angle. So I did actually have this sheet on a bit of a lean. So I've got that extra bit at the bottom there. But from the back to the front, I needed 1.3 meters, okay? So I cut 1.8 meters, so it's 1,500 or 5 foot from the top to the bottom. And I've cut it 500 mil longer, just over 1.5 foot longer. And then when I've cut this section here, that's effectively this part here when you turn the back over the other side. So this part here is the excess. So instead of having cut 1.3 meters for this side, and then I've wasted a whole stack here because you can't use that anywhere else on this truck. So instead of wasting all that and then cutting another 1.3 meters on this side, I've been able to cut 1.8 meters to do both guards.